Four Downs is right now. Four Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln on Parkside Drive and on Kingston Pike. Let's go ahead and get to the Downs right now. Do we have Coop? I think we got Coop. I think I got Coop. I'm a little rusty. My apologies.
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Thanks, Coop.
Coop here. First down.
All right. First down is this. We're going to discuss the SEC. Are they being scapegoated by college football for the issues that are out there? And they're significant. They're out there. Bowls are dying off, which Caleb and I don't care about, but a lot of people do. The regular season isn't as highly anticipated or viewed as the postseason now that they have that. But let's start with this. Caleb, what is first down?
First down, and I say yes, they are being scapegoated because people don't even realize how we got to this point, and it's not the SEC's fault. And I say that as someone who I'll just say this up front. Here's my take, and here's my argument. The SEC is getting blamed for things that the SEC has fought against for years. The SEC has actually, if you go back in history, has championed what most college football fans want. Not necessarily what I want, but what most college football fans want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so first down is this. We're going to start with this. The BCS, which is an SEC creation. I think you and I would both agree, right? A Roy Kramer creation.
Yes.
But
if I told you the story about one of my first big interviews, I was on with Jimmy Holmes in 2000, and we're at SEC Media Days, and I referred to Commissioner Kramer as Roy, which, first of all, Jimmy did not like and pointed out, which he was right. It should have been Mr. or Commissioner, not Roy, the big R. I shouldn't have called him that. But the other thing I asked him, I said, do you realize the BCS is just taking you one step further to the college football playoff? I didn't know he was anti-college football playoff. And he looked at me like I had just smacked his wife on the rear. I mean, but it did. Am I wrong?
No, you were right.
Teams.
But here's the thing people forget. What was before the BCS? It was the Alliance. I don't mind it, but Dave, in the 90s, everybody wanted a BCS because they wanted to see 1 versus 2 for the national title. They wanted to see the best game. So the SEC started the BCS. Then what happened? Throughout the entire BCS era, remember you heard during the BCS era, it's rigged. They just put SEC teams in and give them all the breaks. Well, what a lot of people don't know from during that time, and this is first down, the SEC was the one always pushing for a playoff. Always. It was always Mike Slive, and then even Greg Sankey. They always pushed for the playoff. They always wanted one. It was the Big Ten and the ACC that always fought back against the playoff. The SEC was never at fault for there not being a playoff during the BCS era.
Got no argument there.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
What is second down? Four Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln.
Second down is when the SEC is blamed for group of 5 teams being iced out of a chance to play for a title. Now, here's why that's a flaw. When the 4-team playoff came into action, which was 2014, Dave, did you know the SEC was the first conference to call for an expansion of that playoff where a group of 5 league would get an automatic bid in the playoff?
Did not know that. Good stuff.
Greg Sankey was the first to call for that, and he called for it the whole time. Now, I don't like that. I don't know how you feel about it. I never wanted it. I didn't even want the playoff to begin with. I want the bowls. But Greg Sankey and the SEC were constantly fighting for the expanded playoff because, ironically, Dave, the SEC and the group of 5 have goals that are kind of aligned. Group of 5 wants an expanded playoff to get their team in. The SEC wants one because that means a lot more SEC teams get in. So I think that everybody missed. The SEC was getting scapegoated for the group of 5 being iced out when the SEC was literally the conference fighting for a playoff system that would give the group of 5 a seat at the table.
Yep.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
What is third down, Caleb?
The SEC was the target of Florida State getting left out of the 2023 college football playoff when Florida State was undefeated, and then Alabama with 1 loss got in. By the way, it was the right call. Alabama should have gotten in. But the only reason that happened was because the SEC, which had tried to expand the playoffs to 12 teams 2 years before it happened, got nixed and halted by the ACC, which didn't want to expand the playoff. How ironic is that?
Pretty good stuff. All right, what down?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
All right, what down have we got? We got fourth down. What do we got for fourth down?
All right, and this is the big one because people don't know what's happening right now. For those who don't know, the debate about the college football playoff model is a 5+11, like right now, Dave, just to give you a rundown, they're looking at 16 teams now for a playoff. And there's two formats that are in their mind. A 5+11, where you take the 5 conference champions and then just the top 11 and then seed them straight seeding. Or you do automatic qualifiers where the SEC gets 4 slots, the Big 10 gets 4 slots, the ACC gets 2, the Big 12 gets 2, like the group of 5 gets 1, and then 3 at large. Everybody is angry at the SEC for that because they're like, why should the SEC have guaranteed slots? What we found out, the SEC wants the 5+11 model. It's the Big 10 that wants the automatic qualifier model. But somehow the SEC is getting all the blame because all the spring meetings were in Destin last week. The Big 10 is allowing, funny enough, they are allowing the SEC to take all the heat for this, even though they have the exact, even though they're the ones pushing for it. I don't blame Tony Petitti for that. That just is proof that Tony Petitti is smarter than Greg Sankey. Because Dave, what does a commissioner do? Let somebody else take the fall for what you're trying to do. But what people don't realize with a commissioner, and I say this as someone who doesn't like Greg Sankey, and I want to know your thoughts on this. Josh Pate said this over the weekend. People don't understand what Greg Sankey's job is. It's not to look out for what you want. It's to look out for what the university presidents want and the SEC.
It's also not to look out for what college football wants.
It's not.
It's to look out for the SEC. That's your job. And people give Roger Goodell a hard time about being the commissioner because he makes some unfavorable decisions and he makes $48 million a year. But his job is to make commissioners the most money. It's not to put together the owners, excuse me. It's not to put together the best Super Bowl or best postseason. That's nice and that helps. But at the end of the day, it's to make those cats more money.
Yeah, a great example you just brought up with that. I was not a fan of the expanded going to 14-team playoff in the NFL, but they came to Roger Goodell with the data. They realized the 14-team playoff would generate revenue this much. If Roger Goodell then said, we're not going to do it because it's bad for the sport, he's out of a job the next day, right? I mean, he's out of a job. So, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If it's not, if college football's issues are not caused by the SEC, who are they caused by? 4 Downs, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studios. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford.
Okay, first of all, I want to make sure that I'm talking about the same issues. What issues do you have with college football?
The issues that I have, and the issues many people have right now are that there's this idea that this playoff is going to be rigged in favor of the SEC because of the automatic qualifiers. Now, Dave, I think you and I are both of the mindset, like the rest of the world, no conference should just get a guaranteed number of slots in a playoff. Like that's right. Yeah. The Big 10 is doing this.
NFC East automatically get 3 in.
No, exactly.
There are probably years that they should have, but go ahead.
Yeah, so the Big 10 is wanting this because here's why they want this. They don't like the fact that the SEC is staying at an 8-game schedule while they're doing a 9-game schedule. Now, ignore the fact that that extra 9th game in the Big 10 is at the bottom half of the conference, which are borderline group of 5 teams. But so there's a big anger at the idea that there's going to be automatic qualifiers for the playoff. People don't want that, and people are upset with the SEC sticking with an 8-game schedule as of right now. Again, not Greg Sankey's fault. The schools won't vote on that. Y'all know I don't like Greg Sankey, but this one is not his fault. So that's what the people are upset about. Now, let me tell you who's really what people don't really like the most is that the SEC is taking all the blame, but the reason is the SEC and Big 10, Dave, it's their college football playoff, and they are letting everybody know if you participate in our college football playoff, we're just being generous because we don't have to let you participate.